First off, I am so excited. This is like a huge announcement to get Humblewood onto D&D Beyond. For those that do not know, what is Humblewood?
Well, it's Hit Point Press's first full campaign setting, or it was anyway, at the time that it came out. And as far as sort of the themes of the world of Humblewood, it's a land of animal folk, bird folk, and what we call humble folk for all the non-bird folk people. And it's a story of like conservation and learning to live with nature and the elements in harmony, as opposed to, using and abusing those things. It's inspired by things from our youth, lots of inspiration from things like the Red Wall, and you get to play as animals, which I know everyone loves. So
What was the initial inspiration for this? How did Humblewood even come about?
When we started getting into role-playing game content, we were known as the Deck of Many, and we had been developing a lot of reference material based on the SRD. We were getting to a point where we realized we couldn't just continue to do SRD content if we were going to continue to thrive in this space and building and role-playing game content. And we decided, okay, well, we want to branch out and start making our own other reference cards to start integrating into role-playing space. So we'd seen this artist, Alicia Hannigan. She had been drawing these really cute night owls and other like fantasy magical animals. And we're like, hey, we could partner up with someone like that, have them develop a whole bunch of bird folk, other types of creatures. We stat block them. We make a deck of reference cards. Keep the scope small. And as you can tell, a scope small is not the case for very long, where we started creating grandiose stories, bringing on tons of different writers and creators and collaborators to create this eventual book, this entire campaign setting and world building extravaganza. We were very excited to be able to do that. So it started from humble beginnings, no pun intended there, but and became eventually what was Humblewood, was this book, as we fell in love with the content that our team was working and building.
it isn't written with kids and families in mind, but it has a very family-friendly theme. And one of the nicest compliments we've ever gotten is from a lot of parents saying that this was the setting they were going to use to introduce to their kids to D&D. That came naturally out of the art and things. It wasn't necessarily intentional, but that's just something that I think is really cool about it. It's it has its many cozy elements to it that I think add something new to the mix, and that is woven all the way through, because the scale, especially in this first book, is all about helping communities in small ways, and I think the message is really good there.
We know when it comes to a younger audience that they're smart, they're intelligent. We don't want to hide scary things, but we want to be cognizant of, Secret of Nim. You have the big scary things that people, we want them to feel like they can take on those challenges and not have to be afraid of that kind of stuff. So there is big skeletal behemoths to big fire elementals that people are engaging with, but we want them to feel like these are goals that they can achieve and get past. And so we want to make sure that there's that healthy balance of like heartwarming, but also, a bit of scary, a bit of like intrigue, and allow them to really grow and feel into that setting.
Yeah, stuff like Secret of Nim is a good comparison. It definitely was in our heads as we were going through all of this.
Yeah, it was one of my
Movies were
favorite.
scarier when we were kids, and I think
Yeah.
that that's okay. A
They
little
were
bit.
very scary. Yeah, Secrets of Nim is hardcore.
Mhm, mhm.
Like things like last unicorn.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, we don't go full Nim in Humblewood, but it
yeah,
was certainly in our minds that type of story, as we were working on it. So
was some of the lore bits that people should know the most about Humblewood.
We have this thing called the Great Rhythm, in which all the Amaranthine partake, and that's where people are, like, when it comes to the deities, that's where they live. But our representation of the Great Rhythm is actually a connection of like all stories and all worlds are kind of interconnected here. So that way, if someone wants to play our game and go to an official D&D product, they can actually connect those stories because everything's connected to that Great Rhythm, and that's how we really play with that story. In terms of the background history, the biggest thing, as we know, there are these looming fires that are currently threatening Humblewood. As we delve more into the history of this stuff in our Humblewood Tales book, which is more of the expanded content, the extra PDF content that came from that original Kickstarter. It has a whole bunch of adventures, but also kind of breaks down that history, and it talks about like previous calamities that had occurred, and how like there are these elemental forces that keep on a cycle and trying to like permeate and come back. And so this is not the first time we've seen something like this. There is, the founding of actually behind Jordan, you'll see Elderheart is the one of the pivotal locations in Humblewood, in which that's where you're trying to go to tell them, hey, fires are attacking, destroying these little villages. We really want to go do this thing, but they're all focused on this bandit threat that's occurring with them. And you're trying to also tell them that there's more than just one focus. And yes, I know we don't like the bandits, but maybe there's some conclusion we can come to amicably so we can face the greater threat together.
I just remember when Humblewood came out and it just caught fire. It felt like it caught fire to me because everyone would just stop and see that artwork and be inspired. And it kind of filled a niche of of all the themes that you've been talking about. Like it's not quite it's not childlike, but it's that kind of darkness of the folklore, but also very sweet and comforting at the same time.
Honestly, we're honored to have had such success and interest in Humblewood, as it were. Like as you mentioned, we it was just supposed to be a reference deck. We did not anticipate it becoming this world-spanning thing where we're developing multiple different stories and multiple adventures. We're right now working on the sequel book and plotting that out with a year-long thing. It's kind of amazing. It's not something we ever anticipated being able to do. Especially I know when Jordan started working with me, that wasn't something that was even like we were even considering was a possibility. And now to even be on D&D Beyond is like, validation. And it's like, I don't know, Jordan, if you have any other words on that, but I think we're just in awe. We're very thankful to the community and to all the people we worked with. There was amazing creators that we could list them all, but it was I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, speechless. Speechless is sort of the way we felt about it from the very beginning. Um, you know, the the Humblewood was a shot in the dark because it was our first kind of campaign setting, and so we didn't know what it was going to look like, and to have it received as it was and explode like you said, like it did, to have Matt Mercer of all people retweet us for out of the blue, like yeah, it was wild. It was absolutely wild, thematically on point as as well. And so yeah, if D&D Beyond means it gets out to even more people, that's going to be incredible. And I'm just really thrilled, super thrilled.